Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Westport Library. I hope you arrived safe in the floods. We could have built Noah's Ark with what today's rain did to Fairfield County, but we're all here to celebrate music through the speaking of music. I wanted to first welcome all the old school music lovers who've been supporting music from the past for the many years we've been involved in it here in the community and around the New York area. And welcome you to this fabulous Westport Library, which deserves its own applause. We're all blessed to have a facility like this in the town of Westport. And I would like to thank in advance the wonderful staff of the library for all they do on a daily basis and for all they create for our children and for neighboring towns as well. It's a great and wonderful asset of what makes Westport, Westport. Specifically also would like to thank Bill Harmer and Alex, Travis, David, Robin, and Jennifer personally for all they are doing to keep things moving here day in, day out. It's quite a hectic and prolific amount of programming that goes on here. If you're not familiar with it, welcome to the library for the first time, and come back and join us again anytime. We love playing here, and we love sharing the universal language of music with all of you, and that's what we're here for today. The subject of today's show, called Journey to the 5 M's, is a rather unusual topic and not known to many people. In fact, we claim to have invented the idea, but we really didn't. We really stole it from Nashville when I was down there in the RCA studio building that was about to be bulldozed when the recording studios were being taken out and analog was being replaced by digital. So many of the top recording studios were threatened with extinction, including the RCA #1, where Patsy Cline and Chet Atkins and everyone else in country music had always lived in RCA, but it was saved because a blues-loving attorney named Aubrey Preston stepped up and put a couple of $1 million down and saved the extinction of the recording studio by donating. He is a blues aficionado and an attorney, and I went to his office with Steve Cropper, who I was working with down there, and in his office was his map of the Deep South with towns drawn in between with a sign on top of it that said, "To the 5 M's, Macon, Memphis, Motown, Shoals, etc." And I thought, wow, that's an interesting idea. I'd like to do that. I'd like to take that journey. So today we're going to take that journey. It's going to be a road trip through the Deep South, where we perceive and believe the blues music, the rhythm and blues music, the soul music, later the rap music, all came from, mostly. And so we are honored and privileged today to have a scholar and author, Mr. Brian Torff, who's coming out in a moment to speak about his journey himself to the Deep South. And he did it not once or twice, but several times. And so Brian is going to come out and speak a bit in just a few moments. But before he does, the one observation, or I had several observations in doing this project about the 5 M's and how it ended up that these 5 towns had so much of the contribution to American rhythm and blues music. And it's very clear that in each and every instance, there's always a key figure or a visionary or a fortune teller who understood the market for the music ahead of making the recording studio, whether it be Berry Gordy or Rick Hall or Henry Stone, or Jerry Wexler. Someone had to have the idea and the foresight and the energy and the drive and the enthusiasm to make these recording histories, create them in Memphis, in Macon, in Miami, etc. So we will be traveling to these 5 cities and showing you examples of the music from all 5. But first, I would like to introduce you to our speaker, who's going to explain his travels and what he found along the way, and you'll see evidence behind him on the media board. Brian Torff is a Guilford, Connecticut native now, born in Chicago. He's a renowned musician, composer, and author of the book called Seize the Beat, which I recommend highly. It's the most interesting music history book I've ever seen. He's currently professor of music and music program director at Fairfield University. In 1992, he served as co-chairperson of the Music Advisory Board for the National Endowment for the Arts. And in 2008 was honored as Artist of the Year by the Fairfield Arts Council. Brian's professional career began in 1974 when bassist Milt Hinton offered him the opportunity to tour with Cleo Lane. And during the 70s, Brian recorded and performed with pianists Mary Lou Williams and Marion McPartlin, and toured with jazz violin virtuoso Stephen Grappelli. He played in pianist Aaron Garner's last group with Dizzy Gillespie, and worked in the Oliver Nelson Big Band and the Thad Jones Mel Lewis Orchestra. In '79, Brian Torff joined pianist George Shearing. During their 3-year lengthy collaboration, they toured worldwide and were featured on The Tonight Show with Merv Griffin, hosted their own PBS special, and their 3rd album won a Grammy for the vocalist Mel Torme. Torff now performs his own music as a songwriter, guitarist, and vocalist in his own band that includes sax and drums. And Brian's group is inspired by the Harvard On the Road to Civil Rights tour, the one he took to some places that he felt were so gripping they rendered him speechless. The trip changed his life and his music, he claims, and he says he now draws on these influences, for they have become friends and sources of inspiration. His Southern research, photos, and artifacts have been exhibited, and his books on American music, Seize the Beat, are used in universities all over the country. Will you please welcome Brian Torff? Oh, they don't want me to go on. My wife's already gone shh twice. Brian Torff, you.
I got caught in the flood, sorry. Do we have the video up on my screen? Fantastic, all right. Welcome, you all get a medal for coming here today. Fantastic. Be my woman, gala, be your man. Be my woman, gala, be your man. Be my woman, gala, be your man. Every Sunday dollar in your hand. In your hand, Rosie, in your hand. Every Sunday dollar in your hand. I gotta run, keep from hiding, and I'm bound to keep on riding. I got one more to silver dollar, but I'm not gonna let them catch me, no. Not gonna let them catch the midnight rider. I gotta run, keep them hiding. I'm bound to keep on riding, but I got one more silver dollar. Not gonna let them catch me now. Not gonna let them catch a midnight rider. Thank you and welcome. Now, what does an over 100-year-old Southern work song that I played first have to do with an Allman Brothers song from 1970s? American music comes from the land, and those diverse regions offer a variety of voices that contain multitudes. Welcome to our event this afternoon, which will present a sampling of America's classic music. Music is an art form that brings the past forward. I would like to share with you some images from my Southern research tours. This will hopefully bring the music that you're going to hear this afternoon and the people into sharper focus. So let's take a look. This is some Mississippi cotton fields. The music, as I say, comes from the land, and it comes from people singing in the fields, and eventually what's going to happen is that music is going to evolve, just like the two songs that I did for you this afternoon do. It comes from the land, it comes from the workers, it comes from people singing, call and response in the fields, and there's something very gripping about walking through a Mississippi cotton field because you can really feel the ancestors when you're there. I don't know if you can read this, but on this post, it says, "Blues, born here, raised everywhere." I like to think of the blues as the Mississippi River. It's this huge force of water, and then there are all these tributaries. And so that, to me, is a musical analogy that says the same thing. This music that you're going to hear this afternoon comes out of the blues. It may not always sound exactly like the blues, but it comes from the feeling and the voices of that region of the United States. This is a jute joint, what's left of it, in Helena, Arkansas. What is a jute joint? For people who don't know, it was basically then either a privately owned shack that was turned into a nightclub, or it was a restaurant come music venue. And a lot of them, as you can see here, are kind of in disrepair. They're boarded up. Some of them look like they're about to fall down. There are not too many working jute joints anymore, but this was basically the musical laboratory that the great blues singers worked in. And it was a very rich environment of people who worked by day and sang blues by night. Just outside of Cleveland, Mississippi, you drive about 5 miles out and you come to Dockery Farms. Dockery Farms is one of the most famous sites of the blues because this is exactly where great musicians like Charlie Patton and Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf all worked in the farm during the day, and then they would go out to their local gigs at night and tear it up and then come back the next morning and work again. So it was very much kind of again, of the land, and it's really great that the Stovall Plantation and Dockery Farms is still there because it's a real landmark for our music. How many people know the name Robert Johnson? Raise your hand. Most of us. Good for you. All right. We don't know much about Robert Johnson. He's kind of a myth and a phantom because he died poisoned in a jute joint. And this was largely before he even became popular at all. We don't know much about him, but I had the honor of standing at his gravesite. There's some phony ones, but this is actually the real one where witnesses have testified, yes, he's really buried there. What was so great about Robert Johnson was the fact that he was a visionary. he kind of envisioned rock and roll before it even was an idea, and he was already playing those rhythms on the guitar. Plus, if you look at a Robert Johnson song line by line, it is so deep in its poetic value that Bob Dylan, when he was coming up, used to copy the lyrics of Robert Johnson just to see how did he put it together, how did he put this idea with this, with that. And Robert Johnson's music was dark, and so a lot of times, he died in 1938, a lot of pop music in America is usually not dark because people don't really want to hear that and it doesn't sell very well. But his vision of America was different. It was, as Grail Marcus, the writer, said, it was a vision of a land without salvation, but the greater satisfaction of life comes out of struggle. And so there's, to me, an inner strength to this music that basically says, you know, no matter how bad things are, there is an ashe, an inner life force that always is there if you can call upon it. Now we're going to get a little more modern. This is the one-room shack that Elvis Presley grew up in. It is in Tupelo, Mississippi. It is no bigger, it's actually probably smaller than from this stage to that bookcase right there. It was built by his father, and it is basically what they call a shotgun shack, because you could shoot a gun through the front door and it come out the back. And as you walk in, there is a very small bedroom. I mean, you can barely walk through it. There's a bed and a fireplace, and I guess that's where young Elvis slept with his parents. And then you walk into the next room, and there's a kitchen with an ice box, a couple of chairs, a wooden table, and that's it. And so it's a real reminder of how the deep poverty that so many people, white and black, lived in and still live in the South to this day. And of course, well, you're going to hear more about Elvis in this program, but certainly he'd be the first one to tell you that without gospel music and the blues and so many of the southern country styles he heard, he would have never existed. I don't think he said it enough, but I think that Elvis is an example then of what it took to bring this music mainstream in a very prejudiced, separate America at that time. This statue I found very interesting. It's on the grounds of the Elvis Museum, and you see two images here. One, you see a young boy with a guitar, kind of in overalls, and you can kind of feel the poverty, right? But not necessarily despair of that area. Then you see the superstar God, right, like this. And I think that transition is really an example of something that probably nobody could have negotiated, and certainly Elvis could not, and it led to his demise. But to make that sort of transition from being a Mississippi country boy to suddenly being the most popular person in the world was really always too much. When you travel down Highway 61 is one of the most famous roads in the South. You come to a blues center, and what has always struck me in my travels down there is they celebrate the blues. I know that tourists want to see something about the blues there, but there's so few venues. There are very few music venues in the South where you can hear this music anymore. And I think that's kind of the shame, is the memory is there and the music is still in the air, but there's not enough support, and the economy is not very good. And so as a result, you don't really get the full force that you would have got many years ago. That brings us to Memphis. Now, for people who know about the Great Migration, it really started around 1919, and it was largely blacks, some poor whites, moving out of the South, out of despair of poverty, prejudice, Jim Crow laws, the Ku Klux Klan. There are many, many reasons to leave the South. And the first stop for most people was Memphis, and of course many stayed there because the city offered opportunity, radio stations, record companies, live venues, and then many went up to Kansas City. Many ended up in where I'm from, Chicago. And so Chicago, growing up there in the 60s when I did, was very southern. That's why they call Chicago the Up South, because you had so many people from the Mississippi Delta living in that town and carrying on more electrified sound of the blues, but still that very much that influence was there. So in Memphis, we come to the Stax, what's now a museum. The original recording session studio was really, they went bankrupt by the middle 1970s, and the building just kind of lay in ruin. And this is another thing that is kind of a shame about a number of aspects of Memphis, is that there are facsimiles of what was there. The real things are not there. But in this museum, they did rebuild it as close as they could to what it was. It was a movie theater. And it was a movie theater that was taken over by two enterprising people, Jim Stewart, who was a country musician who really thought he was going to study to record country music, and his sister, Estelle Axton. But they were in a black area of Memphis, and so they had no idea about blues or soul music, but people kept wandering in from the neighborhood, wondering what was going on, and asking for an audition. And so, as Estelle Axton once so beautifully said, we didn't see race, we saw talent. And Stax was one of the great soul labels. You're going to hear a lot of that, already have, but you're going to hear a lot of that music in today's program. It was all built on rhythm. And this is Al Jackson's drum. Al Jackson was the drummer for Booker T and the MGs. And this is one of the things that's fascinating to me about music, and why I love to talk about it and teach it, is if music comes from the land, each land is different. So the way they play in Chicago is not the same way they play in Detroit or in Memphis or in Muscle Shoals or in Miami. I don't know if it's the water or what is, but there's some kind of chemistry that exists in every geographic area that makes it unique and gives it a unique sound. And tonight's concert will be an example of that sort of diversity in music. To me, this photo says it all. Stax was way ahead of the time, not just musically, but socially. You see in this picture members of the ensemble who are black and white, and they are collaborating. Memphis was one of the most prejudiced, violent towns in America, and so these individuals that I'm showing you here couldn't walk down the street and get a cup of coffee. They couldn't walk down to a diner and have a meal together because there'd be a lot of trouble. So inside this recording studio, it was like a sanctuary of people who really loved each other and made great music together. And so I think from a social aspect, one of the things about the music you hear today is that it was really progressive, without really trying to be, without trying to make a big deal about it. It was the fact that there was a movement of diverse people working together, and to me, it says a lot. And obviously there would be a lot of change in the years to come. A few blocks, I guess maybe half a mile away or so, you get to Sun Studios. Sun Studios, of course, was the famous studio of Elvis, and it was basically built by Sam Phillips, who was from Alabama. I'll show you a picture of him later on. And he loved black music, and he worked in the fields in Alabama with black co-workers who would sing and would play a little guitar. And he realized, Sam Phillips, when he got to Memphis, there were no recording studios in the South that admitted blacks. None. And so his idea was, I'm going to start the studio, and I'm going to bring in the best black and white talent, and I'm going to record them. And so I think that's the thing about this vision, is that the people who, we talk about the musicians and they're important, of course they're essential, but the fact is there were people behind the scenes who really had, I guess sometimes people say the example of a genius is someone who can see a market before it exists. Sam Phillips saw that. I bet he struggled because black records were not selling. It's hard to get them on the radio, forget about television. And that's when he made his classic statement, which is still one of the most quoted statements in rock and roll history. If I could find a white man who could sing like a black man, I could make $1 million. And of course, that's when Elvis walked in. This is the studio. It's very small, very modest. It hasn't changed a bit. They even still have the microphones that Roy Orbison and Jerry Lee Lewis and Elvis used. And it's still a working studio. I think they do tours by day, and they do recording sessions at night. The thing about these studios that I found when you visit is, you know, yes, it's microphones and cables and drum sets and things like that, but I think each one, maybe I'm being a romantic now, has a certain sort of vibe or feeling to it. And I think that's really what makes them different from recording it in your bedroom with your MacBook Pro. Not that that's bad, okay? But there's something about the chemistry of people working together that really made those records great. And this was an environment that allowed that to happen. I was walking down the street outside of Sun Studios, and I came upon a kind of a flea market or a bazaar, and here were these beautiful African dresses, and it reminded me, we're basically talking about a subject that draws from Africa, Africa in America, okay? And so what a lot of my students at Fairfield U don't realize is how African this country really is, and how much we draw on these roots and how essential it is to our culture. And you really feel that in the South. Okay, so we traveled down to Muscle Shoals. Muscle Shoals is a pretty small town, but it's a very famous town. It's a famous town because of a couple recording studios that made some of the greatest recordings in American music, and many, many other people followed after that. This is Fame Studio in Muscle Shoals. Fame Studio was started by a man named Rick Hall. Rick Hall was a fledgling songwriter, and he wanted to put a studio together, and he wanted to make hit records. And so the thing that was unique, again, about Fame Studio was it was largely white Southern boys, they called themselves the Swampers, doing sessions with whoever would come down there. And so people would get off the plane like Aretha Franklin and Wilson Pickett and walk into the studio and be astonished to see the band, because it didn't look like what they thought it was going to look like, because they were making all these very funky, very earthy, country-sounding records and had no idea that these musicians were all white. So I think that's, again, one of the wonderful things about this story is there are many surprises here, and Aretha, of course, changed her career in the studio. She sat at that piano in the back there. It's a different piano now, so I got to admit that's not the original piano, but she basically then, how many of you have seen the Muscle Shoals documentary? Anybody here? It's a must. It's a fantastic documentary. And she pretty much directed it, and I think this is important for a number of reasons. One, women generally had no independence or a leadership in the music business at this particular time. They were always run by a male producer. They were always told what to sing, how to dress, what to do, what not to do. And Atlantic, who had gotten her contract from Columbia, was very smart in saying, she's completely got it together, let her run her own studio or session and her own career. And of course, it led to some of the great hits that you all know. So it's in a powerful place of female empowerment to me. This is Rick Hall's office upstairs. Guys, I don't recommend you taking these ideas for your man cave. They're a little dated, but this is basically, he worked tirelessly. This is a very difficult business, I have to point out, because the major labels, Columbia, Capitol, Decca, they didn't want anything to do with black music or black artists. They basically just saw it as a lot of trouble, and they just didn't want it, okay? So they were basically recording white pop singers, and it was the independent labels like Fame that basically were sticking their neck out, didn't have anywhere the financial resources. A typical way of working would be to make the records, press the records, put them in the back of your car, and then drive thousands of miles cross country begging or sometimes bribing radio DJs to play these records, and it worked, okay? And one of the main, to me, social liberators here is radio, because radio doesn't segregate, okay? So on a clear night, WLAC in Nashville is so strong a signal that it's going all the way up, way into Canada, and that's where Neil Young and Joni Mitchell are listening to it. And it goes into Hibbing, Minnesota, where Bob Dylan is listening to it. It goes out to Jamaica, where Bob Marley is hearing it. So you have to keep in mind that Southern radio really changed the game, because what happened was the major labels, well, they got fooled. The requests came in from American teenagers, white and black, and asking to play Little Richard or Sam Cooke or whoever it happened to be, and as a result, the whole industry was spinned upside on its head as a result of radio playing what people wanted in that particular area. So to me, it's a great story of how you've got Goliath, the big indie labels, and they've got Sinatra, and they got all that kind of stuff, and that's great, but then you've got the small labels, and they're basically just living hand to mouth. They basically go from one record and pray that somebody buys them, but they won. Across town, the band who played in the studio, the Swampers, decided they weren't really getting along with Rick Hall, and they weren't really getting paid very well, and so they started a studio called Shoals Sound. It was tremendously successful, because now, by the time the 1970s roll around, artists were all seeing all these records being made in this small southern town, and so Cher came down to Muscle Shoals. I mean, just big stars and people you never heard of were all coming to work in these very small studios with the same musicians. That's where it looks on the inside. It's a tour. It used to be a casket factory, and it was it was transformed into a music studio. It's still a working studio by night. And I know there was a reggae band coming in to record that particular evening. I thought it had one of the best environments for recording of anyone I saw. All right, so now we get to, oops. All right, so now we get to Macon, Georgia. And Macon is important for a lot of different reasons. Up at the top on the left there, it basically says where soul lives, and Macon is an example then of another phenomenal small town cultural environment that birthed a lot of music. That's where Otis Redding was from. Otis Redding was on the verge of superstardom. He catapulted really the Stax label up to new heights. He was beginning another almost kind of ascension to superstardom when he died in a plane crash. And that was pretty much the beginning of the end for Stax Records. Now his wife still lives there. There's a small museum. There's a foundation where they do all kinds of things for kids, education, do a lot of wonderful things. The house at the bottom left is where Little Richard was born. Little Richard was from Macon, and he got his start there playing in local clubs. And what can you say about Little Richard that he hasn't said about himself already? He was the architect of rock and roll, folks, as far as I'm concerned, and what an incredible artist and cultural force in this country. The studio on the bottom right, that's called Capricorn. And Capricorn was a recording studio that was started by a man named Phil Walden. Phil Walden, when he was in college, got the idea to start booking black acts for white fraternity and sororities. Remember, everything was segregated. And one of the acts that he booked was Otis Redding, and Otis became Otis's manager. And they were working together to build this studio, which Otis would never realize. It is important also because of what followed Otis, and that was the Allman Brothers, Marshall Tucker, Charlie Daniels, what people call Southern rock today. Really, a lot of it was recorded in these Capricorn studios. So in Macon, you have the Allman Brothers Museum, and it basically is a former residence where they lived and rehearsed and composed music and got in lots of trouble. But what an innovative band. I'm still in awe of this particular group. On the left are their roadies. They felt that their roadies were so important that they should be on their album cover, live at the Fillmore East. The band on the right, pictured there, is not in New York City on 2nd Avenue. They are in Macon, Georgia. It was just staged that way. What was unique about the Allman Brothers was, first of all, virtuoso players, 2 incredible lead players, a great bass player, one of the most soulful singers ever in Greg Allman, and 2 great drummers, one who was black. And that was really taking a chance in the South at that particular time. And so J-Mo, the drummer, has become a friend of mine. We work together occasionally. And it wasn't easy, you know, but the fact was the Allman Brothers would not stand for the typical prejudice that existed in their environment, in their town, and they simply went straight ahead anyway. And of course, their legacy is tremendous. And how many albums, live albums, are better than Live at the Fillmore, really? And J-Mo said to me, I said, what about that album? He said, man, it was just another night. They're buried in Rosewood Cemetery, the 2 brothers, and as is Butch Trucks, their drummer, and their bass player, Barry Oakley. And so you can go there and you can visit, which is really interesting because you have the Allman Brothers burial site, and then you come to a place that's mostly Jewish, okay? And then you come to another area that's Civil War veterans. So it's an amazing mixture of people in that interesting place. So we're gonna take a look at Motown. I'm due to go to Detroit next year to research this further, but Detroit was again another stop on the Underground Railroad. And it was a place of tremendous talent in the 50s and 60s. The arts were very supported in the schools, and you heard great singers and great musicians in Detroit churches every Sunday. And there was a moderately successful songwriter by the name of Berry Gordy. And Berry Gordy started a record store in a black area of Detroit, selling mainly jazz and blues and typical black music. And it failed. And he couldn't understand why it would fail. Why wouldn't black people in the black area of Detroit buy these records? And then he had that vision, right? That vision I talked about earlier on. He said, look, right now, either the way it's marketed is either whites buy this kind of music and blacks buy this kind of music. And so he said, why can't we come up with something where young black and white teenagers will love both, will love the same music at the same time? And so his vision for Motown was based on that ideal, plus working in the Detroit assembly line. You know, when you work on an assembly line I guess, I've never worked on one myself. I'm acting like I know what I'm talking about. You know, there's one guy who puts on the hubcaps, and somebody else puts on the carburetor, and don't ever ask me to fix your car, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what I'm saying. And so he said, I'm gonna run the record company that way. And so he used an assembly line approach that said, I'll go find talent. And so I found these 3 young ladies singing in this church, and I'm gonna call you the Supremes. And I saw 4 guys the other day at an ice cream social. You guys are gonna be the 4 tops. And here's another group over here that's playing somewhere outside in the summertime. You guys are gonna be the Temptations. And so this is basically how he scouted And these were teenagers. I mean, you have to keep in mind, these are people with no experience in music whatsoever, really, other than singing in church. And then he would bring them into what is now a museum, but a small house with an upstairs and downstairs, and basically say, okay, I'll be the producer, and now we're going to find songs for you. In other words, don't tell me what songs you want to sing. We will write songs for you. And so the songwriting team, Holland, Dozier, and Holland, or whoever it was, would tailor-make songs to fit that talent. And then he had great Detroit musicians who were composers, arrangers, jazz musicians, and all of them moonlighting, right? Didn't pay them very well. And he would then bring them in to these recording sessions, and they would record with these high school kids, right? But Gordy was very shrewd because he knew there was no way he was going to sell rough, black Detroit young street talent to white America. And so he didn't put them out on tour. He spent maybe 6 months to a year grooming them. In other words, choreography, certain outfits, how to put on makeup, how to properly wear wigs when you're the Supremes. In other words, a whole finishing school. And so, because he wanted each act to be extremely polished, because he knew it's not going to work. You know, they're just going to end up on the Chitlin circuit like everybody else does. And so, what Gordy really did with Motown was make an incredible breakthrough in American life, because his formula worked. Black kids and white kids loved this music. If you played a dance, you had to play a lot of Motown, okay? It wasn't really, you know, I love the Beatles, but you can't really dance to the Beatles the way you can dance to Motown. It was funkier. It had a better beat to it. Same with soul records. So really what happened was his vision came true, and sure enough, you start seeing the Supremes headlining in Las Vegas, getting on the Ed Sullivan Show, getting a visibility that most black artists had not had up to that particular time. And you're going to hear a lot more of that kind of music later on today. So this particular picture really, a couple pictures remind me of how important the visionaries are. So at the top left, you have Sam Phillips, and you see in the background Elvis with his trio. And then to the right, that's Rick Hall in front of Fame Studios. The bottom left is Estelle Axton and her brother Jim Stewart. They were the ones who started the Stax label. In the middle is Phil Walden, and Will Walden, of course, was the brains behind Capricorn Records. And then finally, at the right, is Berry Gordy. And so there's a lot of talent in this world, but we don't give enough credit to people who facilitate that talent, who give them an opportunity, who back them, who believe in them, and are willing to be patient to develop that kind of talent. And it's something that we miss today, I have to say. This is a bus stop in Memphis, Tennessee, just around the corner from the Stax record label. Soulsville really kind of, to me, says a lot, not just about Memphis, but about the whole area of the South. And that's one of the reasons why I keep going back there, is because there is a deep sense of roots and tradition, but not leaving it right there, but again, being able to use that as inspiration to bring that past forward. And this quote by Jill Scott, great singer, great rhythm and blues singer, is really true, I think. I've always been a firm believer that soul music never dies. The artists we still listen to today, years after their music was first heard, are mostly soul artists. We still sing along to all of them with our hearts. So in conclusion, there are good reasons why great art never goes out of style. The Southern music represents who we have been and who we are in the present, while shining a light on the future. This music comes from the land, revealing a joyous expression of America at its very best. Why is this all important? Why should we care? Why don't we just listen to the music? It's great. James Baldwin once said, "History is not merely something to be read, and it does not refer merely or even principally to the past. On the contrary, the great forces of history comes from the fact that we carry it within us, are unconsciously controlled by it in many ways, and history is literally present in all that we do." Thank you, and let's thank Roger Kaufman for this event.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian Torff.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you, everybody. Take out a piece of paper. There's going to be an exam now.
I have a particular interest in the history of rhythm and blues and soul music and where it came from and where it's going and what's happened to popular music and all these musical things. Because my family has been in the music production and the music composition business for 120 years in America. My grandfather was a ragtime composer in the teens and 20s, and my mother was a jazz aficionado whose friends Barney Josephson and John Hammond started Cafe Society and bought Billie Holiday the first dress she wore in Harlem. And so I grew up on inspired, heartfelt music, both from the ragtime period and the jazz period. And in the last 10 years, I discovered through ancestral genealogy from my grandfather's side that I came from Germany and found that my German relatives actually did not come in through New York, but they came in through New Orleans and went up the Mississippi River in the 1860s and settled along the Mississippi, but were shot and shot out of there with the Ku Klux Klan as Jewish settlers, and had to move out of Melville, Louisiana, and they all went together to a small town in Georgia called Macon. So I visited my cousins in Macon, Georgia 5 years ago, and they took me to the cemetery where my great-grandmother's buried, next to the plots of the Allman Brothers. So when I tell you it got creepy and wonderful, it got even better the next day because we were the guest of the Otis Redding family at the Otis Redding Museum in Macon, where I met with Carla, Otis's daughter, and Justin, his grandson, and had time to share stories because I had been involved with the Smithsonian archiving and preserving American rhythm and blues music for perpetuity with Steve Cropper. And so they were interested in what I was doing, and I was interested in what they were doing, and we're all just one big happy family. So I am thrilled to be here today to share some of this music with you, with my friends in the Old School Review, because these folks, men and women, have been doing this music as long as we have for the past half a century. And what Brian said about the quality and integrity of this music bears repeating. You're all here for the same reason, is that you love music. And there's something about this kind of heartfelt blues music that you heard explained where it came from and why it is the music of the land, the music of the people, the angst, the challenges, the life experiences that create the songs and the messages behind the true feelings of the people behind them. And I think it's illuminating and thrilling for me to have an erudite scholarly author like Brian come up here and save me from boring you with my litany on it, because he really has done it on a tour basis from a standpoint of both a musician and an author and speaker, and a guy with incredible gifts for understanding the evolution of this music in the American culture. And it's interesting stuff, and we call it, we're speaking about music, and I don't know if it's up there, I guess it is. The concept of speaking of music is something that came about a few years ago, actually, when COVID hit and nobody had a gig. And so we began to, and on top of the polarity and difficulty of talking to people who are not politically like-minded, like a lot of us are, it was difficult sometimes to have conversations. So we would gather together with people and have moderated speaking panels about music and talk about the music. And it was obvious that this is a language that we all speak, and people enjoy talking about music. So enough said of that. I want to take you to Memphis, Tennessee right now on the first stop on this road trip, and tell you just a few observations about Memphis and why this music will fit and sound like Memphis. The backdrop, as Brian said, of the segregated town and the segregated South made it ironic that a lot of soul music came out of Memphis, Tennessee. And it's one of its chief components and important ensembles was 3 or 4 high school kids from Memphis named Booker T. Jones, Duck Dunn, and Steve Cropper, and Al Jackson, who formed a high school band called the Marquees. And they were known as the Marquees. They had one of the first hit records on Stax label, followed by a song called Green Onions. So what I would like to do is introduce you to the old school review. They will come out, please, and we will perform for you the original hit record of Green Onions. The simplicity and clarity of this kind of music will be demonstrated for you note for note as you hear when it's really pulled together and done simply like this. The simplicity and charm of that kind of music gained its well-deserved place in the history of American music immediately, and was a very big record and continues to be anthemic in its simplicity, which is part of the charm of what old blues and ring shouts and hollers and field hollers are all about. It's the beat, and it's simple, and you feel it. These high school kids at the age of 17 to 19, 20, 21 were playing in high school bands and decided to change the name to the MGs, meaning Memphis Group. And also at that time, they added a horn section to what was going on, which changed the flavor and color and appeal of the music. So we would like to introduce to you our horn section, who is here today, called the Saugatuck Horns. Not the Memphis Horns, but they are from southern Connecticut. Saugatuck Horns. So who you are listening to, just from left to right, on guitar is Mr. Tim DeHuff. On the drums, Tiger McNeil. Bass is Dave Edwards. Bob Cooper on the piano and organ. And the Saugatuck Horns, Bobby Carlson, Crispin C.O., and Fred Serbo. So here's what it sounds like, Memphis style, when it's got horns. It's called Last Night. You'll love my part. And the night before. Old School Review with the Saugatuck Horns. parallel to the success of the Stax sound in Memphis, a little earlier was the emergence, as Brian made mention, of the Elvis Presley phenomenon. And I just wanted to echo the importance and change that that brought about, because we're going to do some Elvis Presley music for you, because Elvis is the guy that opened the door, thanks to Sam Phillips, by managing to find a white voice and energy that previously only came from a black man. And he had the ability to stimulate people and go wild and wiggle and make girls cry, going crazy, before the Beatles did at the Ed Sullivan Landing. Elvis opened the door for rock and roll and was a significant artist whose inflection and energy really took America and internationally by storm. So I would like to share with you one of the big talents that Southern Connecticut has produced and do a little Elvis Presley music for you. Will you please welcome Mr. Billy Gennario to the bandstand.
Thank you.
The song you're about to hear and the story comes from a blues master, an old songwriter named Arthur Crudup, who wrote the song called That's All Right Mama, and was the breakout record that really took Elvis Presley from obscurity and paved the way for many, many hits to come. So here it is, its own way, our way, the old school way. It's All Right Mama.
Thank you very much.
Now we have a nice medley coming up. Mr. Elvis's Biggie Hits. The Biggies.
Swing, shut up, now that never say let rock. Everybody let's rock. Everybody in the wholesale block, dancing to the jailhouse rock. Number 7 said number 3, gonna go to jail, but I ever did see. Show me the light of which company. I'm gonna do the jailhouse rock with me, let rock. I'm all shook up.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, my hands shaking, my knees weak. I can't see it stand on my feet. Who do you think when your hands such love and love? I'm all shook up. Now please don't ask me what on my mind. A little mixed up, but feeling fine. I'm in a girl, I love that. Heartbeat so it scared me to death. Touching my hand, no shit I got. Lips are like a volcano is hot. I'm proud to say she's my buttercup and love. I'm all shook up. Well, it's one for the money, two for the show. We're getting ready now, go, don't you step on my blue suede shoe. Well, you can do anything to lay off of my blue suede shoe. Well, you can knock me down, step on my feet, let my name all over the place. Do anything that you want to do, but lay off of my shoe, don't you step on my blue suede shoe. Bob Cooper, come on. Yeah. Everybody sing along now. Suede shoe, blue, blue suede shoe, a blue, blue suede shoes, a blue suede shoe. You can do anything but lay off of my blue suede shoe. Thank you.
Billy Gennario. Billy Gennario.
Sorry about that.
Now the fun begins. All you got to do is put a little Elvis Presley on, all the women come out of the woodwork. Whoa. We're moving now.
See, for the Vegas Elvis, put the collar up. We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Why can't you see what you're doing to me? Well, you don't believe a word I say. Suspicious mind. With suspicious mind. Yeah, we can build our dreams on suspicious mind. So we've been over and over. Stop by to say hello. Would I still see suspicion in your eyes? Here we go again. Get up now. Yeah, yeah.
you're doing to me. When you don't believe a word I'm saying. Don't you know? Caught in a trap. I can't walk out. Oh, I love you too much, baby. Don't you know? Caught in a trap. I can't walk out. Scenario. He'll be back. He'll be back. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, from southern Black Rock, Connecticut, would you welcome Stephanie Harrison to do
Thank you.
a special song from the Memphis discography, which was recorded in Memphis by Dusty Springfield, whom you all, I'm sure, remember. And Stephanie's been with us on and off for about 10 years with the Old School Review. We're happy to have her back tonight. Stephanie, it's all yours. Wow.
Thank you.
Very nice. Stephanie Harrison. And this song is a fabulous Aretha Franklin hit record which Jerry Wexler, Mike Friedman's good buddy, engineered after Atlantic took over some Memphis productions. And it's called Baby I Love You. And it features a new friend of ours. Will you please welcome Tizelle Wilson. Tizelle.
If you want my loving, if you really do, don't be afraid, baby, just ask me and I'm gonna give it to you. Oh, I do declare, I want to see you with it. Stretch out your arm, little boy, you're gonna get it. 'Cause I love you. Baby, 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 I love you. There ain't no doubt about it, baby, I love you. Baby, 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 I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. Baby, I love you. Now if you feel you wanna kiss me, go right ahead, I don't mind. All you got to do is snap your fingers, and I'll come running. I ain't lying. And oh, what you want, babe, you know you got it. I deny my own self before I see you without it. 'Cause I love you. Baby, 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 I love you. So there ain't no doubt about it, baby, I love you. Baby, 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 I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you, baby, I love you. Listen here now. Someday you might wanna run away, yeah, and leave me here, sitting here to cry. But if it's all the same to you, baby, I'm gonna stop you from saying goodbye. Baby, I love you. Baby, baby, say, baby, I want you. Baby, baby, say, baby, I need you. Baby, baby, I got to have you. Baby, baby, don't let your neighbors say that I don't want you. Baby, baby, don't let your low-down friends say I don't need you. Baby, baby, hey, I want you. Baby, baby, hey, I need you. Baby, baby, hey, I want you. Baby, I got to have you. Baby, baby, ooh, baby, I do. Baby, baby, I love you. Baby, baby, say, baby, I want you. Baby, baby, yeah, yeah, baby, oh. All right. Thank you.
Tizelle.
I told you I love him.
Wilson. Tizelle Wilson. Now we're getting back in the car, actually, and heading east to a small Georgia town called Macon. And as I mentioned, the history there, and Brian did, an awful lot of stuff happened there, different than other towns, although the Memphis influence was partly responsible for it, because Phil Walden and his partner always wanted their Capricorn label to use studio musicians, much in the way that the Fame people in Muscle Shoals and the Stax people in Memphis did. And they were influenced because Phil Walden's youth was as a promoter and booker who had under his control Sam and Dave, Percy Sledge, and Otis Redding. So there's a tie-in to the roots of Southern soul, but Phil Walden, a visionary like Sam Phillips was, and Berry Gordy at Motown later, same time frame, had an idea to create a Southern rock feel and went about finding talent to accomplish that. So he found people like Greg and Duane Allman, among others, and had a history of intermingling country music with blues and rhythm and blues, and was very successful with records like Ramblin' Man and Midnight Rider. So I was hoping we would have a harmonica player with the band today. Unfortunately, he wasn't feeling well, so we're stuck without a harmonica player, unless there happens to be somebody here who's got a harmonica. Mike, did you bring your harmonica? Is there there's somebody here? You got your harmonica? All right. Now, don't tell him I said this, but I hate harmonica players. They always hog the stage and don't know when to quit. Find an Do you know Ramblin' Man? Midnight Rider, sorry. Midnight Rider. And we have also an unusual guest with us tonight to accomplish the Dickie Betts, Duane Allman double guitar feat on these Macon records. See, we don't fool around. We do it the right way, right? You know. And so Mr. Frank Barisi is here tonight. Wherever you want. And he's going to play the part of Duane Allman, and Tim is going to play the part of Dickie Betts, or vice versa. And who are we? Who is you tonight?
I'm Sean.
He's Sean.
I'm from Southern Trumbull.
Welcome, Sean from Southern Trumbull.
But I'm not
Kennedy.
That's Sean Kennedy, ladies and gentlemen. He knew when to stop, too. The story behind Midnight Rider is that it is an anthemic rock standard that has stood the test of time, even though it was not a big hit record for Capricorn Records. But the payday was all of the covers of it, in which they participated in the royalty stream, which helped because Capricorn went bankrupt and they lost everything. But Midnight Rider lives on, and we were happy to do it today for you.
Hopefully this isn't too hot for me this time.
And Sean Kennedy, who's here, is going to do another song with us. Okay. Ramble, guys. Ramble on.
Lord, I was born a rambling man, trying to make a living and doing the best I can. When it comes to leaving, I hope you'll understand. I was born a rambling man. My father was a gambler down in Georgia. He wound up on the wrong end of a gun. I was born in the backseat of a Greyhound bus, rolling down Highway 41. Come on, sing. Lord, I was born a rambling man, trying to make a living and doing the best I can. But when it's time for leaving, I hope you'll understand that I was born a rambling man.
Frank and Tim.
I'm on my way to New Orleans this morning, leaving out of Nashville, Tennessee. I was having a good time down on the bayou, Lord. Then let the women think the world of me. Lord, I was born a rambling man, trying to make a living and doing the best I can. But when it's time for leaving, hope you'll understand that I was born
Yay.
Thank you very much.
Tim DeHuff, Frank Barisi on the guitars, Sean Kennedy, coming in from nowhere.
Thanks a lot.
Nice.
Thanks, guys.
Now the other side of Macon, and a really big side, I actually really enjoyed myself in Macon. I got to go to the Greyhound bus station where Little Richard washed dishes. True. Can't make this shit up. And I thought to myself, Self, you've really arrived, you know? Now I went to the TikTok Club, which is one of the nightclubs that Little Richard, Otis, Percy Sledge, and any other touring acts all played in Macon, which was a lot of fun, and met some of the family down there. And the story of Otis Redding that I would like to share with you is heartfelt, because I think when I heard Otis Redding sing, it sort of changed my life. I was in the record department at Klein's in Westport, and Sally, who was a doll and a music lover, really a jazz aficionado, but she loved the young music people, and she knew that I was a good customer, so she was trying to sell me Beach Boys and Frankie Valli and so forth. And then she said, but you really got to hear Sam and Dave and Otis Redding. So she was pushing this Otis Redding thing to me. And later on, and so I had been an Otis Redding lover for decades. And then I had the good fortune to work with Steve Cropper, who wrote Dock of the Bay with Otis. And Steve told me the story of how he and Otis wrote the lyrics in San Francisco, in Sausalito, for that song, and that unfortunately the next week, or the Monday after that weekend, Otis was killed in a plane crash. So they had just finished the record, and it was released posthumously. He never got to hear it. But the interesting story that I'm circling back to is how he was discovered by Steve Cropper. Steve was a 22-year-old engineer and young producer in the Stax studio in Memphis. And they were using all kinds of different musicians that would show up for sessions. And somebody had written a new blues tune called Pain in My Heart, which they were doing a rhythm track for in the studio, and Steve was an integral part of the production on things, as well as writing and playing guitar. And they had no vocalist to do what's called a scratch vocal, when you have a vocal part that you have to lay into a rhythm track. Someone has to put in the scratch vocal till the real singer comes in and does the vocal. And so they were looking around for a singer for this thing, and Steve had heard a rumor that the truck driver on the bus route that delivered the alcohol to the Stax studio was a big band, a band singer from Macon, Georgia, with a group called the Pine Toppers. And they had heard that he was a real singer. And so Steve said, when is he coming? And they said he was coming later that afternoon. So the truck pulled up. Otis Redding was the truck driver in the bus, in the delivery, and they asked him to do this scratch vocal called Pain in My Heart. And on the first take, everybody's little hairs on the back of their neck went up, and they used the take after that, the second one, on the hit record called Pain in My Heart. And when you hear it, you'll understand what impact that voice made and continued to make. And then later, when we had him inducted into the Smithsonian, he donated guitars. Cropper was celebrated by the heads of ASCAP and BMI that were at this ceremony for the 6th highest grossing record in the history of popular music. And so, cheers to Otis Redding, his lovely widow, Carla, and his mother, who is alive in Georgia, Zelma. She's now 82 or 3, something like that. That's the Otis Redding story. And now, Billy Gennario we'll do the Southern Connecticut version of Dock of the Bay. Sacred land. This is sacred land, folks.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I watch them roll away again. I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away, sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay, 'cause I have nothing to live for, look like nothing gonna come my way, so I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Oh Lord, sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Look like nothing's gonna change, everything remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same. Just sitting here resting my bones, loneliness won't leave me alone. No, 2,000 miles alone, just to make this dock my home. I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Help me whistle, come on. Otis. Thank you very much.
Now we're firing up the car and we're going back west to Muscle Shoals in northern Alabama, where, as Brian told you so eloquently, they had a very prolific and infamous production of great music from not only the Muscle Shoals team, but the Swampers, and it went on and on. People were coming from all over the world, including the Rolling Stones, to have a chance to record in the Muscle Shoals studios, which was a great deal of the work on the part of people like Rick Hall and Jerry Wexler as well. So here is Tizelle to deliver a classic recorded Muscle Shoals called I'll Take You There.
Oh, oh. I know a place. Ain't nobody crying. Ain't nobody worrying. And ain't no smiling faces. Lying to the races. Oh, help me. you there. Oh, say help me, y'all. I'll take you there. Help me, y'all. I'll take you there. Oh, yeah, I'll take you there. Come on. Piano now. Play your piano now. That's you. Yeah, I need that guitar. Come on now. Come on. Sit. Oh, sounds so good to me, y'all. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, I like that now. Come on. Can I get a little of that bass now? Come on. Sit. Yeah, help me out, yeah. I like the way that sounds so good to me. Say daddy, 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 daddy. Make it funky. Oh, come on. I know a place, y'all. I'll take you there. See, ain't nobody crying. No. I'll take you there. I say, ain't nobody worrying. I'll take you there. I say, ain't no smiling faces, y'all. I'll take you there. You wanna see the lion to the races, y'all. I'll take you there. Oh, said help me. I'll take you there. Oh, said help me, y'all. I'll take you there. Whoa, I said let me take you. I'll take you there. Take you. I'll take you there. I'll take you there. Mercy me now. I'll take you there. Somebody help me. I said help me, y'all. I'll take you there. I said let me take you there. I'll take you there. I'll take you there. Thank you.
Tizelle Wilson. Tizelle. Okay, now we're going to Miami. Now we're going to get back in the car and head south to Miami after that short stop. And in Miami, which was a place I spent quite a bit of time, actually got started playing before I opened Mark's Place in Westport upstairs in the 70s. I was hanging around in South Florida because I had heard on a spring break trip to Fort Lauderdale, a fabulous rhythm and blues band with a great white singer with a 10-piece band. And I thought what Sam Phillips thought when he saw Elvis Presley and when they saw Roy Orbison. Wow, that guy's got the energy of a soul man. And he introduced me to a lot of musicians in South Florida who were playing with people like Jaco Pastorius, Benny Lattimore, Betty Wright, Bobby Caldwell, people like that. In South Florida, I had no idea that music was going on in South Florida like that. And it developed into a label called TK Records that a visionary like Berry Gordy or like Phil Walden or like Rick Hall, who saw the market, and at this time it was disco more than straight rhythm and blues that had come about. And so there was ample amount of music coming out of Miami. So I think that actually Tizelle is going to come back and do a famous song written for an 18-year-old singer named Betty Wright, who Henry Stone met because she was a cleaning lady, and he had found her and heard her sing and had gotten this tune written about cleanup woman. And this is Tizelle Wilson.
Now, some of y'all may know about this lady. You better be careful now. Come on. A clean Well, she picked up a man of mine. Listen here now. Being slick was my ruin. 'Cause I found out all I was doing was making it easy for the clean up woman to get my man's love. Oh yeah. Yeah, I did. I said I made it easy for the clean up woman to get my baby's love. Uh-huh. Come on. Now let me tell you something. I took this man's love and put it on a shelf. And like a fool, I thought I had him all to myself. When he needed love, I was down having fun. But I found out that all I had done was made it easy for the clean up woman to get my man's love. Oh yeah. Yeah, I did. I said I made it easy for the clean up woman to steal my baby's love. Listen now. A clean up woman will wipe his blues away. She'll give him plenty love 24 hours a day. The clean up woman will sweep him off his feet. She's the one that'll take him in when you dump him in the street. So you better get hit. You better get hit. It's a clean up woman. 'Cause she's tough. She really cleans up.
Billy G to the bandstand, Billy G. Where's Billy G? How's everyone feeling today? All right? You can hear okay out there? Everybody dried off? Boy, I was wicked for a while. I just need a quick word with Billy. One of the biggest hit records from the South Florida Miami sound was a Bobby Caldwell written tune. Bobby had a sweet voice and had a really good record that actually a friend of mine wrote the melody with him at the mixing table, but got no credit for it. That's not a new tune. So it's credited to only Bobby Caldwell. But here it is. It's called What You Won't Do for Love. But Clay Cropper actually co-wrote the melody. Clay, thank you.
Guess you wonder where I've been. Search to find the love within. I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you, and I can't let go. My friend wonder what is wrong with me. Well, I'm in a daze from your love to see. I came back to let you know. Got a thing for you, and I can't let go. People what you won't do for love. You tried everything, but you won't give up. In my world, only you made me do for love what I would not do. Made me do for love what I would not do. Made me do for love what I would not do. Make me do for love what I would not do. Oh, yeah. What I would not do. Thank you. If I can just say one word to Roger Kaufman, it is so my honor and privilege to be surrounded by this much talent on stage and the lovely singers over here. Thank you, Roger, for making me a part of this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Billy. So just, if I may, reintroduce you to the band who you're listening to from left to right. Bobby Carlson on the trombone. Mr. Crispin Cio on the tenor saxophone. And Mr. Fred Serbo, the Saugatuck horns. All the way in the corner, guesting with us on double guitars, Frank Barisi. And next to him, Connecticut's outstanding guitarist for 40 years, Tim DeHuff. Mr. T, as he called. And it's my honor and privilege for the first time tonight to welcome to the Old School Review this marvelous bass player, Dave Edwards, who's just sitting in, wrote all the charts. And Bob Cooper behind me on the piano. And the drummer, whom everyone knows, is the Tiger, Mr. Tiger McNeil. The busiest man in show business, besides Dave Anderson. All right, so we're in Miami right now, and we're going to move along back up to and do something for the Motown crowd, because we have some Motown stars in the house tonight, and we're being asked to not go to 5 o'clock tonight. We're going to end a little sooner because of the floods and because of so forth. Apparently, the powers that be decided to do a little shorter show. So we're going to move into Motown and give you a taste of Motown. And you heard the story, I think. Probably didn't hear too much from Brian on Motown, but you know, the vision and forward thinking of Berry Gordy was magnificent. He perceived that if he could take the energy and talent and zeal and expression of black music and sell it to the white audience, he would have a happy family, and he certainly did that. I can't honestly say that it didn't come without a lot of scars along the way, and he wasn't exactly going to win Pulitzer Prize for Peace and Love in the industry. But here's Dennis Collins from Detroit, along with his lovely wife, Sharon Collins, to join us and do some Motown music for you. So I think we're going to start with an important music industry event, because it was through this record that our friends Mr. McCartney and Mr. Starr and Mr. who were the other Beatles guys? Lennon and McCartney and those guys? Harrison. George Harrison, too? I'm not prejudiced. But here's where they got the shit from. It was a record called Please Mr. Postman. In 1961, the first Motown hit, and it made such a dent on George and Paul that they said, why can't we do that? And we could take a go at that one. And they did, and they've been playing it since. So here's Giselle with Steph and Sharon to render Mr. Postman. Oh, Stephanie. Oh, we changed. Okay, fine.
Wait, oh yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Wait, Mr. Postman. Hey, Mr. Postman, look and see. Oh, yeah. Is there a letter in your bag for me? Please, Mr. Postman. Oh, yeah. There must be some word today from a boyfriend so far away. Please, Mr. Postman, look and see. Is there a letter for me? I've been standing here waiting, Mr. Postman, so patiently. For just a card or just a letter saying he's returning home to me. Please, Mr. Postman. Oh, yeah. Is there a letter in your bag for me? Mr. Postman. Oh, yeah. So many days you passed me by, saw the tears standing in my eyes. You wouldn't stop to make me feel better by leaving me a card or a letter. Please, Mr. Postman, look and see. Is there a letter, oh yeah, in your bag for me? You know it's been so long since I heard from my boyfriend of mine. Wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Please, Mr. Postman. Please, see you one more time, Mr. Postman. Wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Let me see now you see the tears in my eyes, oh mister. You better wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Please, Mr. Postman. Please, Mr. Postman. Please, Mr. Postman. Thank you. That was fun.
And now the Collins kids are going to do some duets from Motown for you, which were very popular, from Tammy Terrell with Marvin Gaye, and also Kim Weston. They had big hit records that sounded like this.
You guys may know this song, and if you want to jump up and dance or sing the chorus, that's okay. You can do it.
Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby. If you need me, call me, no matter where you are, no matter how far. Don't worry, baby, just call
Sharon Collins and Dennis Collins. And the old school review with the Saugatuck horn. Dennis.
Is that it?
Let's get My Girl for Dennis. All right?
Did you guys hear that?
You weren't supposed to.
I think there's one more. Did he say let's do
My Girl.
You guys might know this one too. Give me a little bit of this if you won't dance. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. Almost like this, right? When it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. Well, everybody sing. What can make me feel this way? My girl, my girl, my girl. Talking about my girl. I've got so much honey, the bees envy me. I've got a sweeter song than the birds in the trees. Well, I guess you'd say, what can make me feel this way? My girl, talking about where's your bed, Jim? Everybody sing, come on. Hey, 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 yeah. Come on. Hey, hey, hey. Ooh, yeah. I don't need no money. That's not true. Fortune or fame. I've got all the riches, baby, one man can claim. Well, I guess you say, what can make me feel this way? My girl, talking about my girl, talking about my girl. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day with my girl. I've even got the month of May with my girl. Talking about my girl. Woo, my girl. Talking about my girl. Talking about my girl. Sunshine on a cloudy day with my girl. Talking about my girl.
Dennis Collins,
Thank you.
Sharon Collins, Giselle. What's going on? 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 What's going on?
Oh, okay. One more. It must be what, 5 minutes to 5 now or something? What was that? All right. Here's one that we hope you guys, especially with all the wonderful madness going on around the world. Marvin Gaye made a statement back in the 70s, and unfortunately, we still haven't quite figured it out yet, but listen to this, and maybe this will help us all go a little deeper to see what we can do to make it a little better. Did I get an amen up here?
Amen.
Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. Yeah, you know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Father, Father, we don't need to escalate. You see, war is not the answer. For only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Yeah, yeah. Picket lines you sing, picket signs. Don't punish me with brutality. I said talk to me so you can see what's going on.
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on?
Tell me what's going on.
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on?
Right on, brother. Right on, brother. Right on, brother. Hey, what's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. Father, Father, everybody thinks that we're wrong. They're wrong. But who are they to judge us? Simply 'cause our hair is long. You know we've got to find a way to bring some understanding here today. Yeah, yeah. Picket lines,
Sister,
picket signs.
sister,
Don't punish me
sister,
with brutality.
sister,
I said talk to me
sister,
so you can see
sister.
what's going on.
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going
Tell
on?
me what's going on.
What's going on?
I want to know what's going
going
Do I get some piano over there doing a little something? Bob Cooper on the piano. Picket lines, picket signs. Don't you punish me with brutality. I said talk to me so you can
going
Tell
on?
me what's going on.
What's going on?
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 What's going
Tell
on?
me what's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on? Thank you.
Dennis Collins, Sharon Collins, Giselle Wilson. Thank you so much. We got one more for you. Dance in the Streets and then Soul Man.
He keeps adding one more, one more, one more.
All right, you might as well stay standing.
Well, there you go.
Oh, yeah. I want to
Take
see
one. Take one.
some boogieing out there, y'all. What y'all think, this is a concert or something? Gotta dance.
Yeah, come on, y'all.
Come on, everybody.
Here we go. Calling out around the world. Are you ready for a brand new beat? The summer's here and the time is right for dancing.
these guys.
The greatest duo in the history of rhythm and blues music, Sam and Dave. Let's hear it for Sam and Dave. And the old school review with the Saugatuck horns, featuring Tizelle Wilson, Stephanie Harrison, Dennis Collins, Sharon Collins, Billy Gennario. Who'd I forget? And speaking of music, very happy to be here. Thank you so much for coming. We're not done. When you hear this. Soul Man. Sam and Dave. Come on, y'all.
I'm coming to you on a dusty road. Good loving, I've got a truckload. And when you get it, you got something. Say, don't worry, 'cause I'm coming. I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man.
Play it, Steve.
I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man. Got what I got, well, the hard way. I'll make it better each and every day. Every day. So, honey, don't you fret, 'cause you ain't seen nothing yet. Said I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I got what I got the hard way, and I'll make it better each and every day. So, honey, don't you fret, 'cause you ain't seen nothing yet. Said I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man.
Oh, Steve.
I'm a soul man. I'm a soul man. Come on, Billy. We'll grab the rope, and I'll pull you in. Give you hope. Be your only boyfriend, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Come on. Come on now. Come on. Come on. Hey. Woo, woo. I'm a soul man. Said I'm a soul man. Soul man. I'm a soul man. Well, I'm a soul man. 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 Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Now, guys, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Watch for a Duke Ellington show here December 7th. That's our next appearance here for Speaking of Music. December 7th for the Duke Ellington Spectacular. Thank you for coming. Speaking of music, keep talking to your friends. Love, peace, and soul.
Over there, it sounded great.